Howdy there, fantasy fiction here today, and today we're going to be talking about dialogue. So, what, so a lot of people actually, I'm going to begin this way. A lot of people actually have issues with dialogue. They can't seem to figure out what the problem is with their dialogue. They can't seem to figure out why their dialogue doesn't flow. It's not right. It's not good. And my own issue, and my only issue, what's the format? So, the format for dialogue, for those who don't know, like I didn't know, and I'm currently doing and fixing 87,000 words of literature, is dialogue. I'm going to start it this way. Each line every time a person speaks in your book, it is a new paragraph. That's the simplest way I can put it because I did not do that. So don't make my mistake because I did not do that. So also, as far as dialogue goes, now we're getting into the more juicy stuff. A lot of times people have issues with dialogue and they say it doesn't flow, it's not right, it feels awkward, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel correct. So a lot of times, in order to do dialogue the right way, you have to do what you do for a presentation. You practice how you're going to do it. For my presentations, I know for every presentation I've ever done, probably, and only the good ones, I practice it one time, if that, because I have my slides to help me, and I just talk about it. That's it. A presentation's about giving, it's about teaching something or giving information. If you're not giving information, that's not a presentation. That's a waste of time. Anyway, so dialogue. Rehearse by being your characters. A lot of people, they want to write a scene. Maybe it's a death scene, and something happens, right? And what are your characters' reactions? Because that is what the reader is looking for. Not, oh my gosh, this person died. Because generally, you aren't going to do death that well. Death is tough to do. So generally, the only thing that's going to get the reader going is your character's reactions. Somebody dies in the family. Oh my gosh, that's a big deal. What does your character do? Nothing. Oh, I guess it wasn't a big deal. That's the reader. Somebody dies in your family. What is your character? Oh my gosh, that's a big deal, right? And then your character, maybe he tries to commit suicide because that person died and he can't live without her or him. So that makes it a big deal. It's your character's reactions. So dialogue is part of your character's reactions, and that's a way that you give it away. Your characters are constantly reacting to each other, and that's going to be your book. That's what dialogue is. You're finding out how your characters think about one another, and your readers are going to always side with the character that they like. So put a little bit of evil in each character, because then they're going to switch and they're going to be confused, and they're going to be the ones with the emotions, not your characters. And that is when you have a good book. But anyway, so let me think. So basically, dialogue. It's not flowing. Why isn't it flowing? You don't have your characters, like, not memorized, but you don't know your characters. I don't know how else to put this, so I'm just going to say it. It sounds weird. Your characters are people, and they are living. They are living inside you. They are living inside your head. They are not fictional. They are real inside your head. And you don't know them. You're a bad author. No. So basically, your characters have very set personalities the way you want them to be. You have to mark out those personalities with something. I'll give little tips and tricks on how to give little personalities to your characters that get it to flow. But beyond that, to start with the basics, I make a chart. I used to make a chart every time I made a character, whether it be it for Dungeons and Dragons, writing, or just for fun. So when I make a character, I start with a chart. I get a piece of lined paper and I draw a line down the middle of it. with enough space on each side to write, right? And on one side, I put on the left side, I put personality, right? Sorry, I've got the hiccups. And then on the right side, I put backstory. And this is the way I make a character, because every character is a walking cause and effect diagram. Their past decides how they are right now, and what happens in the future will decide how they are after that, because it is your characters reacting to the events that makes them so special. So, what happens in a cause and effect, in this cause and effect personality and backstory diagram? Well, you write personality points, bullet point on the personality part. Let's say he's sad. Okay, backstory point. Brother died. Okay, so then we can put on the personality point towards kids his age. Boom! Towards males his age. Boom! Right there. You have defined your character. And you can keep going with this, and you create characters this way. And this helps just to chart them out. Character creation, it's also good for that, but this helps to chart them out. One of my best D&D characters, I also want to say you don't have to use that, because one of my best D&D characters, I never made this chart. I knew what he was going to be. He was going to be the drunken Scotsman that cusses, and his cussing's hilarious, and that is what he is to this day. That's why the party loves him, because he always comes up with some great cussing line, especially since I know a little bit of Gaelic. So, yeah, it gets very fun, because no one understands him and they're all laughing. Anyway, so you don't have to use that. But as for not flowing, you just need to know your character. So what I do also is I think, what would my characters do? What would my characters do if they went to Starbucks? So, whereas Rylark would walk in, he'd lockpick the back door and slide right on in and sit in the corner where no one saw him, in the dark corner. And then Fodmail, the drunk, would walk up to the bar, and he would say, or walk up to the cash register, and he would say, "Hey, I'd like a cold mead, please." They'd say, "We don't have any." And then he'd be in an argument with that person for about an hour and a half, and go on and then pull of course, a bottle of cold mead out of his back pocket. So basically, that sort of thing. You want to figure out what are they like? What are they like? Okay, what do they buy what do they do when they go to Starbucks? Okay, what do they buy when they do this? And even if they are fantasy, Fodmail or Rylark, they're from my fantasy books. So, what happens with this? What happens with that? If you want to have a lot of fun and you're a writer that has written started a ton of books, see what would happen if you had a character from one and a character from other meet. Would there be a clash? Would they team up? Would they somewhat like each other? Would they just not care about each other? Would one want to be good friends and the other one just like, I don't care, I'd like to coexist? I mean, what's going to happen? You have to look at it that way. And then you know what to do. So now we're to the tips and tricks, and this is my favorite part because I love this part. What can you do to give someone a little bit of personality? One, you can give them a nickname. Nicknames are so fun because you're making fun of your name. You get to make fun of your name and you get to criticize yourself. And the audience gets to laugh at you criticizing yourself. It's the stupidest thing, but it works. So then after that, and I apologize for me not being super duper lively, I'm still a little stuffy. Normally I'll probably be a little bit more sarcastic and whatnot, but and then after that, if you don't want to do a nickname, maybe what you can do often that helps me with my characters is give them something, whether be it physical or not. Give them an addiction. Maybe this guy's addicted to alcohol. The drunk is always a very fun character. Give this guy a peg leg, and every single time he sits and he finishes the sentence, he clicks it, Arg! That was 3 years ago. Click, click. You know, maybe give this guy, maybe he has a scar all across his face. Oh, what's up with your scar? Oh yeah, I got that in a fire so long ago. Oh yeah, it was just crazy. Make stuff like that. You got to figure out how to give them just the little things, and the audience remembers it, and they go okay, and then you can use that in the future. And then, like, so say you're going to his point of view. I felt the scar all across my face. As they know then. Okay, that's that guy. So physical, you have to get the physical features. You have to get the emotional features. Alcohol addiction, you can include that, and you also want to get the personality features, which is emotional at the same time, but you know what I mean. So you just have to consider all things. How are humans? Do a little people watching next time you're in a place and you're bored. What is this guy doing? What's this guy like? What's your first impression off of this guy? And pretend, not trying to make you into a creep like me, of course. Pretend you see this guy, you see a person, give them an entire backstory. Just give them a backstory. It doesn't matter what it is. Give it to them. Just decide, okay, what's that person doing right now? Look up pictures. Look up pictures of New York. You'll see people on the street. Okay, that guy, he has his arm around that girl. That's his girlfriend, and they're. Are they sad or happy? I'd say they're sad. So they're about to break up. They're not very happy. Okay, all right. And let's say his mom doesn't like her, but they really want to be in love, and they're taking their last walk together over to that fountain over there in the background. So look up pictures, do that type of thing, and as you do that, you'll bring not only you won't just see how to you won't just be inspired, but you'll bring to awareness all the many areas of character creation and all the many areas of character building and all that. So, yeah. Character building's always been a fun one for me. I've loved building characters because you're basically making rules for them to act by. If you want, you can use the D&D stuff. It's very good for building characters, which D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, by the way, it's a board game. It's a role-playing board game. Sorry, that was my stuffy nose again. So, yeah. All right. I'm trying to think. Anything we didn't go over? Nope, not to my knowledge. So, all right. I hope that you future authors learned something from this. I hope that those of you that didn't learn anything from this, I hope that those of you that didn't learn anything from this got at least inspired to make a character, to maybe got inspired for a character in your book, and now it's the perfect piece to the puzzle, and the dialogue flows. And I hope that this has been helpful in some way. Any questions, please post in the comments. Please. I love hearing questions and answering them. Anything you want me to talk about, put in the comments. And if you want to hear more of these, click the like and subscribe. So, all right. I'm pretty sure you guys know where like and subscribe are down below. So, all right. Fantasy fiction out. And I will see you next video when we talk about foreshadowing. Yes, indeed. The fun one. Peace.